mo kí gbogbo ojú tó ń wò mí káàkiri gbogbo ayé, mo kí wa lọ́kùnrin lóbìnrin lọ́mọdé lágbà nínú ilé yìí. Mo kí wa wípé a kú déédé àsìkò yìí, àsìkò bójú ọjọ́ ti rí. Bàbá Ọbásanjọ́, èmi ò mọ èèyàn lè sọ pé àgbàlagbà foníjálé agbọ́n ni o, torí pé lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ìbọ́rọ̀ ti lọ yìí ó kọjá bí mo ti ṣe rò. Àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ti yarí pátápátá gan, àti pé tá a bá wò dáadáa tá a bá wò dáadáa ká má parọ́, ká wò ní títòótọ́. Nígbà tá a pè pàápàá pé kí wọ́n yọ bí àwọn bá ṣe wà lábẹ́ gọ́fúnà kan yọ kúrò ní òfin, ṣẹlẹ̀ Yorùbá nìkan lòfin yẹn mú ni? Kí ló dé táwọn northerners ń fún ọba tiwọn lọ́wọ́ àtàpọ̀nlé? Kí ló dé táwọn easterners tí wọ́n fún àwọn ọba tiwọn lọ́wọ́ àtàpọ̀nlé? Kí ló dé tó jáwà westerners là ń rí dínkù ọba? Ṣé ká sọ pé àwọn ọba north àwọn fira wọn sípò ọ̀wọ̀ ni àbí báwo? Ṣé ká sọ pé ọba east àwọn náà fira wọn sípò ọ̀wọ̀ ni àbí báwo? Àwọn ọba kọ̀ọ̀kan wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó jẹ́ pé láyé èèyàn kò lè rí dínkù, á pa wọ́n tàn. Ṣé káwọn yẹn sọ pé wọ́n fira wọn sípò ọ̀wọ̀ ni? Kò sí nǹkan tó ń ṣe wá nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ju pé àṣà wa àti ìṣe wa kò jọ wá lójú ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. A rí ipò yẹn bí ipò kan tó pàtàkì. A rí àwọn ọba bí ẹni pé they are subservient tó olóṣèlú. Kò nídìí kan sọ fẹ́yàn pé kéèyàn dìde tí gọ́fúnà kan bá dé, wọ́n á so iye àtàpọ̀nlé mọ́ gọ́fúnà, ayẹpẹrẹ àwọn ọba wa ló fà á. In tó fà á nìyẹn. Wọ́n yọ kúrò ní constitution o, wọ́n fi sí constitution o. Bọ́n bá fi sí constitution náà, àwọn èèyàn wa ò ní tún fọ́ba nípò tó yẹ kán fún un. Wọ́n ò ní fọ́ba níyè àtàpọ̀nlé tó yẹ kán fún un. Iye àtàpọ̀nlé táwọn ọba wa deserve wọn ò ní fún wọn. Ṣàwa ló jẹ́ pé àwa ní káwa pàtàkì àṣà àtìṣe títí wa. Àṣà wa ní káfíńyàn jọba. Ìṣesí Yorùbá ni kó respect ọba. Bọ́sí tó dọ̀ tó yẹ pé èèyàn bá ti rí rọ́bà fín tó ti ṣe nígbà kan náà lọ́rọ̀bà fín lọ́ba ń pa, ṣọ́ba ń pa ní àrọ́bà fín mọ́sì, àwọn àsọ̀rọ̀ sọba bó ṣe wù wọ́n ni. Ṣàwa ní káwa lọ ìbá ìbùkọ́ṣọ̀ yẹn síra wa pé ọba o èèyàn pàtàkì kan ní bá ṣe pàtàkì àwọn olóṣèlú. Àwa ní káwa lọ ìbá ìbẹ̀ pé àwọn ọba wa we are going to treat them specially. Tí gbogbo ayé bá bàbá Ọbásanjọ́ sọ tán bá láwọn ò ní gbọ́, èmi tèmi mi ò ní ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn lẹ́yìn èní mi rò pé máa sọ anything lé lórí mọ́, because bẹ́ẹ̀ èèyàn ṣe pè mí mò ń rí, bẹ́ẹ̀ èèyàn dẹ̀ ṣe advice mi mò ń gbọ́. Àwọn kan ní I cannot see you don't know Ọbásanjọ́ at all, he will never apologize. Bàbá dẹ̀ tún sí insist lóòótọ́ pé òun dó lórí ẹsẹ̀ òun, constitution ló tẹ̀lé, constitution burúkú tá a là ń tẹ̀lé tó even if constitution said that, ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni constitution wọn ní Great Britain láwọn European country, ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni ò recognize pé prime minister ó pàtàkì ni? Kí ló dé tó ọ̀rọ̀ bá wọn fín? Mi rò parẹ́ ní gbé lọ́wọ́ ojú ẹkùn Queen Elizabeth tó fi kú, torí pé wọ́n ti imbibe culture yẹn sínú ara wọn. In fact ọba tún máa sọ̀rọ̀, wọn ò ní sọ pé God bless our prime minister, wọ́n á ní God bless that queen. Àwọn rí queen tí wọ́n bí alpha and omega of that kingdom ní United Kingdom, wọ́n rí bí she is the alpha and omega. Bẹ̀tà wá ń bí àti ẹ̀rí kingdom yẹn bí anything, àrí bí kankan. Ọdún mi bá wọn wí, ẹ lọ night club, ẹ bá wọn ọba mi ń bẹ, night club. So ipò ọba, that institution of obas, àwa gan ti rí dínkù ẹ̀ fúnra wa. Ẹlòmí ò yẹ lọ́ba, ifá ẹlòmí ò yẹ ní kí ló máa pa akọ́dà ọba, ẹlòmí ò yẹ lákọ́dà ọba. Wọ́n fìjọba ńlẹ̀ Yorùbá sí tó bá ti lówó ẹ̀. Ọtí tá bá padà sí pìlẹ̀ tó jẹ́ pé kì í ṣowó ni wọ́n fi ń yan ọba, tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n mọ system táwọn fi ń yan ọba. Not until when we go back to that system, kò sí nǹkan tá lè tó kò sí ní àwọn olóṣèlú wọn ní respect àwọn ọba wa. láyé èsì ìkọ́ ló ti bẹ̀rẹ̀, mo sọ fún wa ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ tipẹ́ táwọn èèyàn ti rí dínkù ọba. Bọ̀dé Thomas kò sáà ṣe gọ́fúnà kò ṣe president, olórí ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú ni, òun náà rí dínkù ọba. Àwọn ọba yẹn dẹ̀ máa ń fún wọn tán, àwọn ọba tó mọ ẹ̀tọ́ wọn tó dẹ̀ dúró lórí ẹ̀tọ́ máa ń fún wọn tán. Aláàfin tó gbéṣẹ́ kí bàbá ẹ̀ kẹ́láàfin tẹ́lẹ̀ tó jẹ ẹ̀rí tó pa fún Bọ̀dé Thomas, ó dam consequence ẹ̀. Lóòótọ́ gbé kúrò lórí oyè bẹ̀ kò kí ẹ̀. Aláàfin tó wá gbéṣẹ́ yìí ṣebí ẹgbọ́tàn tó lóun pa fún gọ́fúnà àti àwọn commissioners ẹ̀, kì í ṣe pé gọ́fúnà ní kóhùn kí Aláàfin dìde fóun o, Aláàfin ló ń retí káwọn commissioners dìde fóun póhùn dé. Wàláì ká Aláàfin wà láyé jọ yẹn níṣẹ́, ó dá mi lójú papá Aláàfin kò ní dáhùn, kò ní dá bàbá Ọbásanjọ́ lóhùn. Mo mọ Aláàfin tí mo ní, mo kò ní dáhùn, kò ní báwọn dìde. Ẹni sọ fún àwọn commissioners pé ṣe rí pé orí yìí ti gbogbo yín orí yìí ti dàrú. Ṣé gọ́fúnà yìí ló sọ, ṣé kò torí ipò tí gọ́fúnà yìí fún yín ló ṣe ní kẹ́ má dìde fún mi, ẹ gbọ́ pé Aláàfin dé dìde. Ìyẹn nìkan kọ́, ìwọ gọ́fúnà yìí nígbà tí mo wà custom tí mo ti ń lo mọ́tò, ìwọ́ṣẹ́ jáde secondary school mà ní tó ṣì ń wáṣẹ́. Nípa gọ́fúnà la tó ń pàǹtọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́ máa ní ó dìde fún kí ni. Program kan ní TVC mo wò tán láìpẹ́ yìí. Program yẹn ó jẹ́ kí orí mi ṣí. Àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá méjì gbàǹkọ̀gbàǹkọ̀ tán pè. Mo fẹ́ kí gbogbo wa gbọ́ ní táwọn ọmọ Yorùbá méjèèjì yẹn sọ. Wọ́n bi wọ́n lóòrè lórí lẹ́tà tí wọ́n kọ yẹn wípé ṣé ó máa wà effective. Contribution àwọn ẹni yẹn bà mí lẹ́rù, inú mi dùn gan nígbà tí mo gbọ́. Mo wá rò pé ó dáa kí n gbé wá sí program kí n jẹ́ kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin fans mi náà wò kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ analysis àwọn méjèèjì. Àwọn méjèèjì ni wọ́n súnmọ́ bá, ló jẹ́ pé kódà ìkan wà nú wọn pàápàá tọ́jọ́ wà pèbí pẹ̀lú ọba kan ẹ̀gbọ́n nú ẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ kájọ listen sí wọn, kájọ gbọ́ nǹkan tó ń sọ.
Television stations and all of it here and there.
Somebody who said this is his wife. Came to apologize on his behalf. And he said, the fact that you have two children for me does not mean you are my wife.
Right. The typical Obasanjo, of course. So, but then, gentlemen, let me begin with your reaction. This was a matter of state protocol meeting tradition. And he, in his usual manner, was trying to enforce one because one had to bow to the other as it is. And he ensured that he made one bow to the other. But the manner in which he handled this case, what do you interpret, or how do you interpret what he did at that stage? Let me begin with you.
Well, thank you very much. First and foremost, monarchy is one of the acceptable systems of government in the world. Up until 1963, we were ascribed to be a monarchy state until we had a president and it was suspended. So become a proper republic. Queen was the monarchy. And the world today, we had about 43 monarchs in the world. The monarchical system of government, including Britain. We have about 13 in the whole of Asia and 8 in Europe. So what I'm saying in essence is that when we're talking about authority, buying to authority, that's a contradiction we have not been able to resolve in Nigeria.
Right.
That which one should be placed, supersede the other. And we are holding all our leaders responsible for that, including Obasanjo. There must be definition of our political culture and political socialization. As a political scientist, it means that your political culture and socialization is determined by your religion, your family background, your lifestyle, which forms your political system. It was not taken into consideration when we wanted to form the system of government that we wanted. And you will know that till today, Nigerians are resisting to admit that there's the hierarchy of a president. the hierarchy of the governor is higher than their own king. You know, there's that refusal up to today, and that is what is leading to what will happen today. And until we are able to do that, we continue to have that kind of problem. You know very well that if you go to any part of the world, there's a standing immigration law that covers the Queen of England. It becomes the most prominent person in the world today until she died. She required an officer to travel to any part of the world. We should be the one promoting that culture. So for us, it's an unwritten law to us in Africa. We must do something about that. There is an unwritten law to us that anywhere you see tradition, all other principality must bow to it. Except if you had to debate it by the religious people, you have to debate it. It's a law in any part of Nigeria. So Obasanjo is a bundle of contradiction for doing that. He's an Egba chief.
But right now, they are saying that he would no longer be recognized for holding any...
That is just the beginning. We are going to come out of our own position too. Dotun did well. Dotun consulted all of us, the author of the letter, and we were in line with him. We support him. When you say age begins with the head of your community. Any age that your community head has acquired, everybody is under him. He's the elder of everybody. So in that garden that day, the elders by Yoruba tradition and culture is not different from Obasanjo, are the Obas. So for us, we must determine what we want as a people. But pending that time, the culture still stands to say that the governor must respect. And that's what I will try to run away from.
But there's state protocol for events like this.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that we have to resolve it. That is what I will try to run from. And that is what the British government tried to resolve. The British government, you know that the monarch's pronouncement is not in tandem with the universal standard of governance today, that where you make pronouncement. That's why the Queen will always rule behind the scene. You rule through the Prime Minister. So if there's a fall, members of the Parliament would take the fall. Prime Minister. So if you want to impeach, whereas it's the policy of the Queen that is being implemented in the Parliament. There is no Prime Minister in Britain that does not enjoy the endorsement of the Queen. So
absolutely.
If you want to practice the monarchical system of government, we have to quickly refine. And that is why that's why we kept appealing to the president that he should try to do something about this structure so that we won't be bumping into each other. Yeah, we won't be bumping into each other. So this is bumping for us. What Obasanjo did is very, very condemnable. Okay. If he had been any other issue, I would run away from it. I would say that it's an elder in Yoruba. But the fact that it is a combination of traditional institutions, it places him far, far, far lower and places the monarchy far, far, far higher than him. So as far as this question is concerned, it is Obasanjo that is disrespecting the elders.
Right.
Yes. Right. Based on Yoruba tradition and culture.
I wonder if you...
I don't want to be corrected.
And maybe he can do that correction.
Verily, I sit here this morning as the founder and CEO of the Center for Yoruba Language, Culture and Tradition Revival and Revitalization.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yes. These things, I'm going to explain them on 4 planks.
Right.
All of this began when we were colonized. If you go back to history, you will see that when the colonialists came, the treaties that they signed, either of negotiation with Egba people who had their own separate government, they were never conquered. They were made to negotiate away their authority. Or those who were conquered. Okay? The whites, the colonialists, they signed those treaties with who? Traditional rulers. Now, when they signed the treaty with them, they saw that they were going to be a threat to their authority. A very popular story is that of the Ovorame Nugbaise that had to be sent on exile because he said things and did things contrary to the instruction of the district officer, the DO representing the white governor general. That is the first attack on the monarchy. The second one, those who took over the levels of governance, the politicians from the colonialists, they knew that the Obas represented power and authority. Instead of creating a parallel line whereby Obaship will just run its own race and course like that, while constitutional government
runs its
will
own
run.
course.
They will go pari passu.
Yeah.
Each of them delivering value to the community. They decided to undermine,
Whittle down their powers.
yes, they will whittle down their power. Okay? By insisting under the constitution that they render them jobless, so to say. Nothing, no role was attached to them. Whereas if they were to have been left along their own path, and as I said somewhere, giving a first line charge rather than now pocketing them under a council chairman. I mean, some of the Obas today that we have, they are professors, retired professors. Absolutely. There are generals who are retired and are Obas. You now want to go and put them under a council chairman? That's the second level. The third level, the military came and they broke no nonsense. As far as they are concerned, the Obas were just another gang of people that they must control. They also didn't give them any breather. So that journey continued like that. And then the last level is the fact that constitutionally they were castrated so much that a council chairman who was elected through voting, thumb printing, can remove an Oba who, by culture and tradition, represent God. We call them Alashe Ikedorisha, second to God. We also describe them as Kabiosi, unquestionable. President of Nigeria we can question him. And we can vote him out. You cannot vote out a king. A king has no tenure. Only God determines when a king should go. These are my position. Now, so many uninformed people, they went on to castigate President Obasanjo. Unfortunately, I will not do that. I'm an Egba man, it's an Egba man too, and I have worked closely with him at different levels. So I won't deny knowing him. But is it about him? No, it's about the system. Now, all we need to do, if we must correct this, is a constitutional amendment.
Really?
Yes, let the traditional institution run parallel. Their functions didn't need to be defined ABC. They were already there. We knew these things. But if you want them in writing, some of us will sit together and put them in writing, make them available. While you allow your local government, state, and federal thing to run along, and if they must be paid, let them be paid like the way you pay judiciary and National Assembly. Give them a first line charge, not now talk them under a council chairman. Let me tell you very quickly. I was witness to a situation whereby a retired general was going to become a king in a place in the southwest. And the council chairman who came to sign the certificate was a thug, a motopakian. Who didn't have any modicum of moral education or integrity. But because he was there politically, he had to. And I was feeling very bad that those of us who are educated, we ran away from politics. And look at what is happening. If that guy got drunk and said to say, okay, Kabiyesi, you got to go, it will be gone. I have witnessed Sultan Masido was a friend of the only country that I worked for, Afro-Continental. So I knew him one-on-one. He became Sultan, and then he was removed. Another government came, and then they said they would replace him. Back home in the southwest, because the Oba of Owo then, Olateru Olagbegi, wasn't on his party side, the man was removed from the throne. And then another now party came who believed in the man, he was reinstated. We are creating confusion. I'll tell you straight away. There was an event where Chief Awolowo or the Obas were there, and he said they should. I mean, he got there. Everybody got up to welcome him. A particular Oba from Akure refused to get up, and Awolowo challenged the man. The man, he said, "Why should I get up for you? I mean, you are a lawyer. I'm a lawyer. We read law in the same place. Were you trained to treat monarch this way? With the Queen Elizabeth, of England, get up for the Prime Minister." It became a fracas. So the king removed his crown and said, "Okay, if I don't work on, let him wear the crown." Wait a little bit. The king left the event. They had to beg him to collect his crown. It was Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe that could resolve that. Another one that I witnessed, Tiwalo was at an event with his wife. Governor Bola Ige was there with Justice Atinúkẹ́ Ige, his wife, and the late Ooni of Ife, Obasanjo Ade, walked in. The four of them, they got up to welcome Ooni of Ife. We were in Oyo because I delved into culture consciously. My first delving was when the Korean Alake will be installed. I left Lagos. I was in Abeokuta for 90 days. We went to Abeokuta to get that. And I was in Ikpebi for 90. I will only leave the palace to go and sleep at home. By the time I wake up the following morning, I will be back in the palace. So I saw all of these things. When the current of Ife will be, so I'm not from Ife. I went to Ife for 60 days. I was going and coming. There was a day that I couldn't get a room to sleep in the hotel. I slept in the personal room of the Baba of the current of Ife. So to that extent, it will be very wrong because we will not be getting anywhere. There's a problem. It must be attended to. Otherwise, it will continue to reoccur. There was a video somebody sent to me where Alaafin, the one that just left, died, sat down. The same General Obasanjo was shaking Alaafin and speaking with him. Would anybody in his own boldness have ordered Alaafin or Awujale or the Oba of Benin to stand up and sit down? I would say no.
Of course. On
another level, those kings, they did not realize the authority and power that they were endowed with.
That they willed.
They didn't know. They failed the test of courage.
Really?
And yeah, they failed the test of courage. As I'm seated here, maybe if you carry a gun, you can order me out. The MD of this company, TVC, cannot order me to leave this place. I will challenge him. If I was at that venue, as an Oba, I would not have gotten. The worst is they will remove me from being Oba. If I
perhaps that was why they didn't want. They didn't want that.
If I leave that place, I will not go back to the palace. I will go to my personal family compound. So
in protest,
these foreigners have been there, and we were papering over it. If when the colonialists left, political inheritors who came in reinstalled the authority and power.
You want to react to him, right?
Yeah. The military came, they worsened it. And that is why we are where we are.
Right.
What you are saying is very, very clear. And everybody has spoken the light that you have spoken. The challenge I had is the former president himself, which we kept talking about all the time, that he should be a mentor.
As an elder statesman, there were better ways of handling it.
Yeah, there were better ways of handling the issues like that. And just like we have said, that it was not as if there were no resistance. You will say that one Oba did not, shouldn't have stand up for him. There were resistance from time to today when there's a clash between the political class and the monarchs. It's an age-long thing. I remember over the of many, Jaja of Opobo, Nana of Shekiri, Kelele of Dahomey, Babur of Cote d'Ivoire. These were kings that resisted the British. And it was not for the love of tradition. It is not for the love of the king that we are saying that they must play a role. It's because experience have shown clearly all over the world that indigenous role in any society have meaningful effect in governance. And that's why I spoke about the culture of your views. What determines the kind of governance that you are going to put in place. Look at any nation in the world today that does not have indigenous intervention. They will have delinquencies, social crisis, and everything that's attendant to lack of indigenous. An example is America. One of the countries in the world that had the greatest challenge with how to train their youth that does not have touch with the indigenous people, which are the Red Indians, is a country like America. That's why they say the British are conservative, because they will never be wished away the monarchical system of government, because of the importance of what they have realized that's where they are coming from. When people say that they remove their parliament as if they remove I said, well, that's who they are. That's the political system they put in based on their culture and socialization. So for us as a people too, we may not get it right until we admit and accept that there must be the indigenous touch to governance. There are so many things in the world today, which is part of the social menace we are combating in terms of parenting and things like that. It's because we remove the role of the culture, and it is not only Yoruba land. Ditto for the North. If you go to the North today, compare what is happening in the North today to 30 years ago. It was not like that.
Right.
In the East,
have allowed modernity.
Yes, to creep in,
shaping our culture and
should not be so.
Whittle down the sacredness of our culture.
The peak of that was what Obasanjo has done. It's not expected of someone like him and a chief. In fact, it should be one of the platforms for him to have canvassed for a role for the traditional rulers. That there's a recognized contradiction between them. You can't pretend I didn't know that contradiction is existing, that competition is existing between the political class and the traditional. It cannot say that he's not aware of it. So it should be part of the solution. Rather, he has compounded it. For us, we are going to randomly condemn what he has done. We are going to come out with our own position. And we want to encourage all the traditional rulers not to leave the matter to rest, because it's a very, very, very bad precedent.
Right. Every
single Oba in Kambi, and I want other traditional rulers in other parts of Nigeria to join, to strip him of all traditional titles that I've given him. It's a disgrace to our culture, and it's a thoroughly misleading leadership role in our society. A former president to have done that kind of thing to us is an aberration, and it must not be allowed to go. So that we have created time for such a discussion. You are not only talking about culture, you are helping our nation, so that successive presidents and leaders will know the implication of what Obasanjo has done. That if they should do it, we'll come after them. We are coming after Obasanjo. So our clear recommendation is that you should be stripped naked.
Coming after them, what does that change?
It's changing something. We are going to strip them naked of it, and it's going to our resolve to call for the need to look into the kind of political system that we run. We have been saying that we are a people, a cultural people. Look at the constitutional hypocrisy that defines us as one people. You don't run country and pretend as if you don't understand who you are. Who we are is that we are different people that we have decided to live under one country. And based on that constitution, I must accept that Veronica and me, we are not the same. If you do that, we will live peacefully. But the moment you keep telling our young people that we are one, they will challenge you anytime you want to talk about identity. They will say, no, we are one in Nigeria. Don't bring culture here. Don't bring issues here. But that's not the rest of the kind of talent we are. That's not how they run our nation. The way they run our nation is to first admit the hypocrisy in our conscience is that it's a secular state. But at public functions, at the beginning and at the end, we will pray. That's hypocrisy. Really? And that is a lack of understanding of who we are. Who we are is that we are religious people. The more you admit that you are religious people, the more you begin to understand each other.
So the
Veronica that died.
Capture all of that.
Veronica that died in Sokoto, we all killed her. Because Veronica came out. Deborah, sorry. It came out with the notion that this is a secular state. But I train myself to understand that you are a Muslim, but there are Christians in this country. Anywhere you see Christians, you must respect them. Don't go out with a notion that if you see a Christian doesn't have it, he has his own right too. She has her own right too. And it's been working for him. Anywhere he gets to, there's a recognition that I am not the only religious person. No. Okay. I came from a Muslim background. He came from a traditional background. He came from a Christian background. And if you do that, you are going to have a peaceful nation. So the moment we continue to do what Obasanjo is doing, it becomes a pattern. We are losing our country. We are losing our nation. So enough of what he has done. For us, someone who leave power and he was only remember that these are things for 8 years, he has an opportunity to have corrected what he's saying now. Because the contradiction, all the things he are saying that day, you must respect our culture. You know, the next stand up, sit down, is that how to respect culture?
Shakiru.
Interesting, yeah.
Shakiru, from the first day that we...
I'm not Shakiru.
Sorry.
Razak,
sorry. Razak Olukoba. That was Shakiru Olukoba, the journalist then. Razak, from the very first day that we met, I didn't have to show you my birth certificate. And since then, you've been respecting me.
Yes.
Even when we go to eat and you paid, you still thank me for following you.
It's an individual thing then.
I'm just saying,
right.
God bless you. We, and I in turn also respect you. Right. I'm a product of what my mother, God bless her wherever she is, but my father died very early in the day, made me. So much that she died about 20 years ago, you will never find me at a night party. Because she forbade it growing up. Now, I'm so pained because we are talking of an institution that represents the warehouse of everything that we are.
Identity.
Our essence, our fashion, our food, culture, tradition, knowledge about flora and fauna, about medicine, everything that we are, even our dance and music system, is encapsulated in the traditional institution. And, you know, they say what they call cause and effect.
Yeah.
I've told you how they got to where they are.
Yes.
They became weakened. And in the process, so many things started happening. Number one, those who do not decide to be obas, they started showing up, paying their way to the throne.
That's part of it.
That's another problem.
Corruption.
Entirely. They now become oba. Ikpebi is a standard thing. And by culture and tradition, it should be 90 days. Some of them are lucky of Egba land, which I witnessed, spent 90 full days in Ikpebi. I was on ground.
What's Ikpebi? For those who do not understand.
It's a seclusion.
Right.
Where they are made to stay for 90 days. While they are there, I will tell you some of the things that will happen. They are able to reflect on their lives from when they were born till where they are. They are made to live ordinarily, no matter where you are coming from. It's a based place where, I mean, everything that plagues people on the street, you will have a taste of those things. In the days gone by, they are empowered. What do I mean empowered? The Babalawos will come. If, for instance, a weakling deserves to be made a king and is being made a king, there are things they will do. Even me, 45. If I saw you are a weakling, they say, leave, I will boil and ask you to drink. And you will become a lion heart. Yeah, because in their position as traditional rulers, they will be made to take decisions, hard decisions, that may seem impossible to regular people. Those things have to be done like that. And you know, when a man goes into Ikpebi as an ordinary person, he comes out with respect, with honor, and then with awe. You cannot look an Oba in the face. You cannot. But what do we have now? All manner of characters found their way to the throne, and it became desecrated. As I said yesterday, you know what they call a war. That is the awesomeness. They lost it. And then when you are not awesome, then you also lost what they call ashe. That is authority and power. Yeah. Those days, when the king says anything, the president of the king is as good as...
It's a finality.
Oh, it's final. Nobody queries it. That's why they will tell you that, I mean, they used to order people to go and be killed for maybe crimes or whatever. But the Yorubas have ways of managing these things. When they say, that when a number has to order that, it's not because he wants to drink blood, but the sanctity of the office must be respected. I mean, so much that they now started hawking traditional titles to the highest bidder. Some were fighting for land. They were selling land, family lands. They were doing all of that. About 5 years ago, a friend of mine, his daughter was going to mark first birthday. The Oba came all the way from somewhere in Ondo State to attend the birthday in Lagos.
Really?
When I saw him there, I called him out. I said, Kabesi, why are you here? You will have to leave. He said, why? I said, how can you leave that place because of a year-old? What if on the way you had an accident? What will you tell them at the gate of heaven or hell, whichever one you belong to, that killed you? And you have to go. He said, no. But all because he will get envelope. I called him out and I gave him money. I said, Kabesi, start going. So he left. Meanwhile, guess what? The host was complaining. Who invited this man? Why did he come? We knew those days. You don't see Obas at anyhow events. They stay in their palace, in their regality. They remain there. Yoruba say, "Amamba agba ni gerejeni." At least they sit in position of, they relax. They are comforted. You go and meet them there. But what do you find now? Any invitation, they honor all kind of invitation. They do. You see them everywhere. Where you won't see them, weddings and all manner of. Come on, that is not it. We should help them to rescue themselves. That's what I'm saying. 7 years ago, I wrote some Obas in Nigeria calling for an all-Nigeria conference of traditional. I wrote them. Only 2 responded. Only 2. And what did they say? They simply said, we have read your, we will keep it in view and get back to you. I got somebody who said he will sponsor the conference. Because I saw all of these things when Obas were being kidnapped. Right from inside their palace. The first time we entered the palace, we were shaking. Because the stories that we've heard of the palace, the power and authority, the deities and everything. But today, so many. It
has been whittled down by modernity.
Go back.
The case with our king.
My brother, before I give you the mic, we got to go back, re-establish that line parallel to constitutional government. So it can add its own value. And I tell you what, when kidnapping started, I think I said it here, that leadership of every community should be called to question. What do I mean by leadership? You could be a ballet. Okay, let's say from ballet. From ballet, we now have the people we call Olori Kimi Adubo, elders of the community, who are so respected, maybe because of their achievements, or because they have money,
or their
family lineage. Then from them, we go to ballet before it gets to Oba. That if we can put that structure in place, we will stop kidnapping, we will stop robbery. Because everybody knows everybody. I grew up, again, the lifestyle of copying the Western people. I grew up on a street, not in a 3-bedroom flat. What do I mean? My father had 13 wives. And his word was law. On our street, if you misbehave anywhere and they beat you, maybe as number 1, you dare not come home and tell them. You will get beaten again. Every father was our father, every mother. But a time when they will not go and hire 3-bedroom flat, and the children will remain cocooned in that place. And if you, neighbor, to reprimand them, you will be in trouble.
So from what you're saying, it begins from the family
level.
It's not the architect of our house that is
the issue.
It's parenting. It's parenting.
Things are
that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
And then
I got to the point you are trying to make.
You now see the value system speedily getting eroded.
Right.
So I got the point you are trying to make, Veronica. And it is not the traditional institution that has this challenge. One of the problems they have is that they have been decimated, which you have rightly identified. I agree with you totally. The beginning of our solution is all that to accept that all our institutions are weakened. It's not only the traditional institutions, even our political institutions. Many presidents have come and they have left. Today, call the roll calls of all the branches we have had, military and civilian. Tell them to define the political structure of Nigeria. Many people just go together. And that's why we are saying that there's a need to strengthen our institutions. As a Christian and as a Muslim, you can't be a good Muslim or a good Christian. It's the church. that will strengthen you. So if you strengthen the church, strengthen the mosque and our institutions, we'll produce more and better citizens. So how do you begin to strengthen your institutions?
them.
It is when you empower your institutions. Let's start with political institutions. The political institution begins by removing the influence of the political class on INEC. INEC has refused to legislate the need to train the president on how to do his duty because it's the appointee of Mr. President. There's a need and there must be a legislation for you to train the governors. Many governors don't know even the kind of political system we run in Nigeria till today. On the strength of winning an election, you have been going to inherit 5 million people and run the way you like. Look at what's happening in Edo today. That's an embarrassment to the Nigerian people. What is happening in Ondo is an embarrassment to Nigerian people. But by the time you are thoroughly trained 4 times in a year by the political bureau of INEC, all these things will not happen. Why do you think all countries in the world who have their leaders behaving well, their president behaving well, their governors, their parliament, the local government chairman, it's not an assumption that they don't know how to do it. They train them. And the president must find a way of reducing intergovernmental influence over each other. The influence of federal government on state government is too much. Why are we going to hold Mr. President responsible for everything in Nigeria? He cannot survive it. Why did not survive it? Jonathan did not survive it. Obasanjo did not survive it. Mr. President can also not survive it if we want to hold him responsible for all our problems. And that's part of it that we have witnessed. Someone was killed in Ahoda. I know Ahoda served in Port Harcourt by some cultists. Someone from another state who does not understand the terrain. And that's what we're talking about, state police. Crises like that are meant to be handled by the locals who understand it. So, in summary, what you are saying in summary is that this is another pointer to the fact that there's a need to look at our structure. If it has been clearly defined that this is the role of the king, and the model we have to follow is to look at the Malaysian example.
Right.
Look at the British example. British example to me follows my heart. And the British example says clearly that you act behind the scene because you over, like I said, that they are authority.
Yeah.
But modern time does not allow you to make pronouncement without following the process. Yeah. So the Obas can be behind the king, the emirs can be behind the king, and you only need to legislate it. It's in existence. But if you don't do that, there will be clash, like I said, like we have witnessed with what Obasanjo has done. So for us, this is a call to all Nigerians that we must join the advocacy that our country needs to be reviewed. The way we run our country, we need to understand that we are lucky that Tinubu is someone who has a political clarity on what to do. You should not be engrossed in engaging with labor, going to hunger, going and health sector.
It's part of the system. It's part of governance.
Once is the first.
He has to listen to labor.
That's what I'm saying. That if you restructure the country in such a way that it should be run, many of these challenges will not be on his neck again. Right. Will not be on his neck again. We will have time to go to hunger to look at our foreign affairs issues. He has a capacity.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that a lot of warning that it should not be engrossed 1 month, 2 months, 3 months before you know it's going to be 1 year. The earlier you put up that political process, the better for us. Every people that have the fear that if you in fact, if you are restructuring Nigeria, there will be more respect for the emirs, which is the fear of the know that our institutions, what's going to happen if you restructure Nigeria. There will be more respect for the obese. There will be more respect for the obas. And this is the advocacy we've been taking to them. And one of the prominent leaders of the international group. And these are the things we have been telling them that, Oba, this structure does not respect you. So it's a clear example of what you have been saying. So it is a clarion call now. And we must not miss this golden opportunity. This is the picture we are going to be witnessing for the 8 years of Ashwaju or 4 years, as the case may be. This is going to be the picture. It's not going to be different. Then when Obasanjo was there, it's the same picture. When Jonathan was there, it's the same picture. And it's going to be the same picture if we don't do something about it. If we don't create a role for the Obas, for them to understand that this is what the society wants you to do for us. We will now base it on assumption. Someone will now say stand up, that will now get angry about it. So
it has to be stated.
All it needs is a constitutional amendment. And
can we
can
with that
do
happen?
it without carrying a cutlass and hoe. Let me also say this to you, that I am going to write these Obas again, the traditional rulers again, and remind them that I said we should have an all-Nigerian conference. And I gave them reasons. I added it to my letter then. I'll go and look for it. And I also write Mr. President and seek his support.
But before the constitutional amendment, what should happen? There has to be
ahead of
a
that,
consciousness created in the minds of these persons.
If we are able to have the conference,
yeah,
the decision that will be taken at the conference will include steps. You know, it's a process. It's not an event. Okay. It's not an overnight thing. And then we will start from there. It will include re-education and relearning of whatever anybody had learned. Whoever thought the Oba of his town is just an idle person sitting in one palace, they have to change that mindset. They also must recognize the fact that they are an authority on their own. Whether you are a Muslim or a Christian or you are in our camp, Isheshe camp, the Oba represent Olodumare, God.
And the corruption.
And all of those things will
has to be addressed.
Like I told you, idea of selling titles to both criminals and crews will stop. Hunting and land grabbing will also stop. And of course, we will restore their dignity and their honor. And then we can properly begin to benefit from them. Again, those who know, I'm glad that he's talking about his own group. Everybody will be involved. Now, define their roles. And of course, the limits too of their authority. Because now, if they arrest a criminal, Oba cannot now say, go and kill him. So they will know the limits, the authority, and responsibilities.
That's why you must follow a model.
I assure you.
There are several models. Out of the 43 monarchs we have in the world, we have to study their model. So that, just to add to what you are saying, out of 43 models in the world, there are people who play direct role as monarch today. There are people who play the role of the queen, the way the queen will relate, where you have endorsement behind the scene of who become the prime minister. So we have to study all the models, and it must not be universal. You are speaking for only the Yoruba.
No, I'm not speaking for Yoruba. I said all Nigerian.
Wait,
I didn't say Yoruba. I didn't say all Southwest.
Wait. Let's quickly say this.
Because our time
is my thought line.
Because we have a country of different identity.
Right, okay.
So any state can design the model it loves. All states can design the model they want. It must not be universal law.
My tribe,
Finally.
Yeah. Government should stop approving who becomes the Oba. In every community, they have their process. In Yoruba land, we have the Ifa that determines who should be the Oba. When they were being allowed to come from that channel, they were not fumbling. And when they fumble, the process of disciplining them is always there, established. Egba was the first place where women would protest and say an Oba to leave the throne. Mrs. Funari, the Fela's mom, did all of that. And then it was we are not any better today than we are today. Finally, like I said, if government still want to continue paying them, or they say we should, because when
taxes from the people,
we will pay our KBC.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Otherwise, they
so they will not be seen as appendages of government.
Each state should design their model.
It's fine, gentlemen. We have to leave the conversation here now because our time is up. We must thank you, convener, Campaign for Dignity in Governance, Razak Olukoba,
It's a pleasure being
and Public Affairs Analyst Oladehinde Ariyo for your time on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Adédokun Ọmọnìyí Àṣọlá Bọ́lárìn aróyin kẹ́yè kínní ọ̀ràngún tí ìlú Òkè Ìlá ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Ẹ̀yin yan wa mo rọ̀ yín o ẹ máa bá mi wo BGI TV Bàbá Gbàgede olólùfẹ́ Yorùbá ni ó fẹ́ òótọ́ sísọ, ó máa fẹ́ràn àwọn ènìyàn, ó fẹ́ràn wa nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹ máa wo ibi tó yẹ ká máa bò ní gbogbo ìgbà, ibi tá a bá dẹ̀ ti lè ran ilé iṣẹ́ yìí lọ́wọ́, ẹ jẹ́ ká ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n ń ṣe nǹkan tọ́lọ́run nìkan wá ṣe ni. Ojú wa ò ní fọ́ o, etí wa ò ní di o, iléeṣẹ́ náà kò ní dàrú, iléeṣẹ́ náà á máa dàgbà sókè ni. BGI TV, ẹ má fi ṣeré, ẹ máa wò lóòrèkóòrè.
BGI TV yìí mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ ti ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan, ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n, eré wọlé fún tẹ̀rù tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. BGI TV mo fẹ́ máa wò, ọ̀rọ̀ tó jẹ ti ń gbèsè mo fẹ́ gbọ́, ètò lóríṣiríṣi wọ́n wà lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan, ìròyìn tó kojú òṣùwọ̀n àtàwọn ọ̀rọ̀ àgbọ́ fi kọ́gbọ́n, eré wọlé fún tẹ̀rù tọmọ tèwe tàgbà ẹ má fi para. Àdànà kú kọjá mórí nǹkan fèrè, bàbá rìnrìn káwí parí. BGI TV, we are the pace setter. Bàbá gbàgede ìmọ̀ tẹlifíṣọ̀n station tí dòde.